Hey, I'm Mitchell Davis, a Laravel developer.
And I'm Gavin Ty, co-founder of SixSides.
Yep, excellent. And we're building SixSides.co, an events platform that helps you build a stronger community through events. This is our B2B SaaS journey. How's it going, Gav?
Good mate, good, excellent. We've got a special guest today.
We do.
He's known around the traps in the bus community, regional bus community of Australia. Welcome, Heroly Chour. How's it going, mate?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I'm very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome. You were just saying before before we started that you wish this is a podcast that you had access to a couple of years ago. What? Give us some context around that. Like,
Well, yeah, I started this SaaS business about 3 years ago. At the same time, I also had a little daughter, just being born. So, I know going into the unknown for two things I've never done before was, something that I wish if other founders were in the same situation would have just thrown some few little nuggets to give and tell me about. Okay, you're going to be consumed by a biological baby and a digital baby. So here are some things and mistakes of not what to do, what not to do. So yeah, I think I went in pretty blind. I'm feeling a bit blind these days.
for both sides of it, right? I'm a
Yeah.
dad of around the same age as your daughter, and the things I was telling Mitchell last night because live in different towns, right? Mitchell's down in New South Wales, I'm in Queensland, and we don't know each other's partners. So last night we had a video meeting dinner with our kids and Mel, my wife, and Mitchell and his partner, Nicole, and we sat there and just got to know each other. It was actually really fun.
Yeah,
So
we had a blast. We got a
yeah,
photo. Maybe we can put that in the show notes. But yeah,
yeah,
it was
absolutely.
it was really really fun and nice to meet your whole family. And yeah, Nicole and I came away from that. We weren't quite sure what to expect going into it. Of like, oh, is this is it going to be awkward or whatever? And came away from it like feels like we've known these guys forever. So yeah, that was awesome. So
Well,
Um,
I'm a lonely man, so I do that with my AI agents.
they're always agreeable, and they call you
Yeah,
hero.
that's it. That's it.
Best news hero. So the point of bringing that up is like I was really idealistic before I had kids. Oh, when I have kids, I'm going to be this way. And then I was telling Mitch, I said that slowly gets eroded, and because the reality of raising children and also building a business is very different once you're in the weeds. I think, anyway, in my opinion, and that's what we're trying to capture in this
yeah.
podcast. So, mate, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What your business is? How long you've been going? Yeah.
Yeah, well, who am I? Well, I'm an engineer at heart. So from a very young age, you know, maybe when I was like in year four, I was very adamant that I'm going to grow up to be one day an inventor and build stuff and tinker and all that. And it's always stuck to me ever since. So yeah, so for me, I just love tinkering and building and just trying new things, learning new things. That's me personally. Also, I'm an avid snowboarder and, whiskey lover. So, happy for you to send me a few bottles off your top shelf one day.
Mate, if I help you with some of your clients, then you send me a bottle of your top shelf.
Oh, yes, yes. I'll
All
have
will
to
come
show you.
through. Yeah,
I'll have
yeah.
to show you my library of stuff, not books, but yeah, whiskey bottles. But yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Very family oriented. Come from a big family. My parents were refugees fleeing the Cambodian Khmer Rouge. So a lot of the values they've instilled from that experience has passed on down to me. So everything that I've learned about persistence and just being generally a good person to other people, to try and avoid the atrocities of the past. So for me, it's very deep ingrained that what I'm doing with my business right now is to help society, to give back to Australians, to give back to Australia, and hopefully to give back to the world. So that's a very key value that I have. So how did Busable all start, which is the software business that I currently run with my co-founder? Well, about 3 years ago, when I was working at Transport for New South Wales, that time I was about to have Emily, my little daughter. So I told, my manager, look, I'm just gonna uh, quit my job and become a full-time dad. That was the intention. But as people found out that I was leaving the government, some of the bus operators at the time that I was working with, they sort of just hit me up, on the side and said, "Hey, Roly, we need some software. Can you help us build this and build that?" So I just, in my spare time, started building and tinkering for them, and they just really loved what I built and the process of getting it built. It was very collaborative, and I was really just there with them on the journey, taking all the feedback and basically, being their advocate in the technology space, and then in return, they were being the advocate as a potential customer in the business space. So that's how it all started. Yeah.
So
Amazing.
you didn't have a set plan to build Busable. You kind of fell into it over time. Is that
Oh
is
yeah,
that
100%. Fell into it.
yeah, yeah, right. It's kind of interesting how SixSides started the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
We did touch on something really. I just want to go back a little bit. You said obviously I know a little bit about your story or your dad's story fleeing from the Khmer Rouge. But what other values did that instill in you as the son of your parents going through that? And how does that permeate into your everyday life?
Oh, look, I think it's just a few key things. So, like from what I witnessed from the stories that mum and dad told me, all those atrocities that they went through, like it was very hard. Like, some of these stories, like if you watch some of the movies out there, the Killing Fields and what's that one that Angelina Jolie made? I forget what that movie was called on Netflix, but I've watched them and I go, this is nothing compared to what mum and dad went through. So it gave me this just this perspective that I think no other person who has not had this experience from their parents or have been in the experience themselves would have. So this perspective that I've had is key to driving almost everything that I do these days. So whether like one of the key items is just forgiveness. Like if you go back to Cambodia, did you know that like the average age of Cambodia right now is like 34 or 32 years old? Like it's a very young nation because
Wow.
during the war, all the elders were either put to the death sentence or they've just fled the country. So for a country that has gone through so much, but when you go visit the people, there is nothing but happiness, joy, and wishing the best for everyone in the world. They've
Yeah,
forgiven the past and forgotten about the past and just moved on. I mean, maybe not forgotten. That's a bad word. They've they've got the museums, they've got the history that they retain, but they've just forgiven. I feel,
unbelievable. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. That movie's called First They Killed My Father.
that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because you do something. Sorry, Mitch. I just hijacked the conversation
No,
initially.
it's great. I'm
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
You do something interesting I've never heard anyone else do, right? Up until Busable, you've been working 3 years and have a sabbatical for a year, right? And you go and do some great stuff with your wife. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I just feel like, everyone's on this earth for a very limited amount of time. Why should you enjoy your years when you're 60 and you can't do stuff and your knees are falling apart and, all the health issues that come with old age. And as I mentioned, I'm an avid snowboarder and, traveler. So what I like to do is spend my late year retirements and bring them up earlier. So, I work for 2 to 3 years, take a year off and just go do what I want to do with life at that particular time of my life. And yeah, just bank my retirement years earlier rather than later. So that's
What's
the theory there.
what's some of the cool stuff you've done on a couple of those years off?
Oh, geez, I could go on and on and on, but yeah, traveled. So we traveled for 6 months snowboarding globally. So we bought that Epic Pass, which is like what $800, and you get like unlimited ski lifts around the world. So we ended up going to Whistler, Japan, France, and just essentially trying to visit as many snowfields as possible. So after all that, we counted that we ended up at 21 snowfields, and our daily ski lift pass cost ended up being about only $19 a day, which
Yeah, right.
comparatively now in like at Perisher, that's like $200 a day.
Yeah.
So
You got your
so
money's
that's
worth out of that pass.
yeah. And we went up to north in Lapland, so tried to go chase the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And then other years I've just taken it off just to tinker, take a year off, go learn a new coding language, build some apps. And yeah, so I spent 6 months building a snowboarding app, which is an interesting story because that's the app that I pivoted to actually start Busable with, which I don't think I've told you yet, Gav.
No, no, no. Interesting. It's amazing how everything leads into something else. So, um, so you mentioned. I'm going to pause. Mitch, jump in here because I've just hijacked the whole conversation.
This is great because you obviously know Roly, right? You've got this history there, so I'm kind of just getting to listen in. So no, yeah, keep going. It's good.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned before, Rolly, that you wish you had. So, like, you're a couple. How many years you into Bustle? A couple of years? Two, 3 years?
3.5, approaching 4 in
Yeah.
October.
What do you wish you knew back in the early days for someone who's just thinking about starting a business or like within the first year? What do you wish you knew that you know now?
Well, I was quite naive and ignorant when I came into the business, starting it up with my co-founder, because I was just adamant, okay, we just got to build the best product, make the best experience, UX, best features, and let's just go product-led growth, right? So we pushed that for 2.5 years and pushed and pushed and pushed, and we're like, something's not working here. We've got an amazing product. Our customers say that it's really good, but where's the sales? Where's the revenue? So then I was like, okay, we definitely have a problem here. Maybe this product-led growth for an early stage found startup isn't the best approach. So it wasn't until I started learning more about sales and the whole psychology that goes around this buy journey and how, you may have the best product, but your customers, if they don't go on this journey of discovering and understanding and then knowing that your product is going to be the most suitable product for their business, then you're not going to get very far. So I wish I knew that earlier on so that I didn't throw all my effort and power and energy and sleepless nights into trying to build the best product and perfecting that. Because I think we wasted a lot of time and money there.
That sounds very similar to yourself, Mitchell, hey, with Recruit Kit.
It sure does, mate. Yeah, absolutely. So I still have another business called Recruit Kit, and it's automated onboarding software for recruitment agencies and large employers that need to do a lot of onboarding, like en masse. And very similar story. Like I'm a developer, very product minded and not sales minded at all. And so that's actually how Gavin and I met, was through Recruit Kit. With some other things he was doing at the time around police checks and stuff. And so, yeah, Gav, you pretty quickly identified, I guess, me early on as you were looking to pivot out and do your own thing with sales market fit. And yeah, it sounds like the exact same type of story. So yeah, it's interesting hearing someone else go through that.
It's not uncommon though. Like if you start a business and you go look at any marketers, right? They put out that material. Hey, it should be marketing like product-led growth. It's how you scale. You don't need a sales team. But the reality is, if you're somewhat of a complex product or solution, people just aren't going to naturally buy. This isn't the movie The Field of Dreams. You can't naturally build it and they will come. You've got to go find it. And hopefully you make that realization before the kind of market passes you past. Otherwise, it's very hard to catch up. But then with yourself, Roly, because I help you with my other businesses. It's just chiseling some of the stuff away and just having a different perspective, and it just unblocks it, right? It's just unblocking a drain, and that seemed to be working. So.
Yeah, 100%. That perspective is so important, the buyer's mindset journey. Yeah, that's been gold so far for my business. So, like what we used to do in the first couple of years, 2 years, we probably had what, six signups in those 2 years, which it's not a good innings. But then as soon as we started doing sales market fit with Gav, what, December last year. Oh, it's just been on the tear. We've been booking demos and signing up almost like a new customer, one a month, or maybe one every 1.5 months, something like that, which is a much better run rate.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
all you're doing is positioning the right piece of information at the right time so people see value or want to move forward. And that's all it is, really. And yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with SixSides is document those lessons that we learn. So I guess beyond the sales lesson that you've learned, what are some of the other key things that you've learned or in the last couple of years that if anyone's listening to this and they're just on an early journey, they could take away from it?
Well, one of the good things that I've actually learned, so this isn't my first, I guess, startup. Well, this is my first like sort of tech SaaS startup, but back in my three sabbatical years ago, three sabbatical sessions ago, sorry, so what, 10 years ago roughly, I had another business that I started up with, and it was the key lesson from these two startups was making sure that your co-founder is the right fit too. So the second time round, my co-founder Graham, he is just a gun in terms of getting shit done. Oops, sorry about the French.
We swear here. That's fine. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
I don't like to. Sorry, but the word we use in Busable is magic. We make, we like to find people that make magic happen, and
Got it.
Graham's definitely one of them. He's equivalent to like 5 developers, but essentially, yeah, like whenever we have this idea or this hypothesis that I've tinkered in my head, and I need to quickly get something out to test it in the market. What in my head I think would have taken a month to build, he'll build it in like a week. So having that sort of power, or finding someone that has that superpower is amazing. So I reckon, when you're starting out any business, if you're going to co-found, which I recommend you do because it's a lonely journey doing it by yourself, really spend a lot of time making sure that your co-founders are a perfect fit for what your vision and values are in the business. So yeah, Graham and I, we're like a married couple. Ups and downs. We have our conflicts, but with transparency and communication, it's been a really, really good fit. So that's one thing I think I've learned over the decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Amazing. That really resonates for me because you're right. With Recruit Kit and with Atlas Software, which is my normal day job, my business where we do development consulting, the loneliness aspect of being like a single founder really resonates for me because it is lonely. And when everything is on your shoulders, it can be really overwhelming. I've found it's like, oh my God, okay, I've got to, not only have I got to, in this case of like Atlas, the software consulting, it's like not only have I got to build the stuff for clients, right, but then got to do marketing and got to do outreach and supporting your clients and thinking ahead and forecasting. There's so much to do when it's all on your shoulders. And so then now with SixSides, working with Gavin, and it's just it's amazing. I feel like I've got that same this is the perfect fit for what I need, and we have those complementary skills, right? So Gavin just knows intrinsically, knows all this stuff that I don't know, and now I don't have to know, because I've got Gavin and he can help me with all of that stuff. He can move the business forward and it's amazing. So yeah, I totally, I'm hearing you on finding a good fit for a co-founder.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry. So Roly, it sounds like it didn't go that well before 10 years ago. Can you give some examples of how it didn't go that well for you?
Oh, look, I think we were just over the place. We didn't have structure. So for me at the time, I was sort of the visionary, and we were just coming up with all sorts of products only because we just needed to survive and make some money. So one, there wasn't much structure in place. Like it was just me with my fire hose of ideas and just throwing it out there and seeing what sticks.
Hmm.
And there wasn't really that sounding board. So my initial co-founder was, I'll just do what you want me to do.
Yeah.
That was the initial, first, my first startup. And then the second time round is, there's a lot more structure now because I'm in, like, so myself and Graham, my co-founder, we both come from the same industry. So transportation, we both work together in government. So when I go to Graham with an idea, he'll really rein me back and go, whoa, 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 roll, we've got 10 ideas. You got to pick two or three of these because I can't build everything. So he
Yeah.
brings me back down to reality.
Yeah.
And then he goes, look, I'm only going to build stuff if you can actually secure some revenue or funds because, why are we building stuff where we may not be able to make any revenue from? So a lot of that has been now deeply ingrained into our business where we would only build stuff or do stuff where we can sort of prove that there's going to be a market or customers that will pay for it. So we sometimes even get them to pay for something first as a prototype and then build from that point on. So that's just one of the many examples I would say that's key from my learnings. Another thing is as simple as, for example, just a technical finesse. This Graham as a co-founder, he's just next level. So just I'm just so grateful and lucky to have someone that can just create magic, as we say in Busable.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I feel the same too. I've seen lots of startups who don't have complementary founders, and they kind of get stuck into this. It's definitely not productive. It's not 1 + 1 = 4. It's definitely it's not good for either people. But even in a short time, well, Mitch and I have known each other for coming up on 3 years now, and but the short time we've been working together, one of us will get stuck on something, the other one will go, I can do that, or vice versa. Or Mitch is super detail orientated, but and he can stress over certain things, but we don't have the time for that. So my skill is trying to pull him out of that and go, hey, and we meet in the middle and go, that's okay. And and I'm happy with certain things. He's like, not a chance in hell. We are not.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to rein you in a bit as well
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
But,
So
Yeah.
yes.
it's the same thing. So yeah, that definitely resonates. Right. So I guess the one of the reasons we had you here today, mate, is we've been doing stuff about building customer advocacy, right? And you just touched on it before, is getting a client to like pay or work your design with your clients. How instrumental has that been in the development of Busable and you know ultimately growing revenue, winning clients, being more entrenched in the market? How is that? How important has that been to you guys?
Oh, look, to be honest, I don't think there's any other way we could have pulled this off if we didn't work very closely with customers to get their feedback and ideas and get them to advocate for us. So when I first started, it was just it actually came from a problem from a customer that they wanted to be solved. So from day one, it was all about listening to the customer and understanding what their needs were. And so that's sort of the spark that started it. So to give some context, essentially, uh, uh, I work with a lot of regional bus operators, and as you know, most plan of the world, information about bus services is just non-existent. It's just on pieces of paper, right? So in the new digital age, you want everything online so you can see bus services and routes and vehicles tracking in real time on Google Maps and Apple Maps and all that kind of stuff. But how do you get that data in the first place? So this is where the customer, so bus operators, approached me and said, "Hey, Roly, we need something to try and capture all our routes on a map somewhere. Right now, we're doing it by hand on a piece of paper." So I was like, guess what? I think I've got something. I built something about a couple of years ago for snowboarding. So I built this app on an iPhone where you can do your snow run and it tracks your route path, and then you can plot little points on the map where all the ski lift chairs are. So I built that, but I never sent it to the market. Like it was never on the App Store. It was just a hobby. So I thought, okay, let me, pivot that idea and see if I can get it to work for the buses. So, 2 weeks later, got it working. Bus operators use it. They're like, oh man, this is amazing. I love this. And then from that, they're like, okay, can you do the next step now? Can you get this into this specific data format so I can send it to the government? So yeah, anyway, that's how it all started. So it's always been this listening to the customer, understanding their needs, what the problems they have are, quickly trying to build and prototype something, prove that it works or doesn't work, and then keep on iterating there. And the idea is that we just do that real fast and close the feedback loop as tightly as possible, because you don't want to spend months and months building something that ultimately just doesn't work. So that's where our superpowers come in the business. We're very good at building these rapid prototypes and then just getting it out there and then iterating on it.
Yep.
So that's how our business model works in terms of product development. It's just so key, and you'll probably ask questions in the future, but how does that impact the business's bottom line? So I can talk through that a bit later. But yeah, does that answer your question, Gav?
Yeah, it does. So give us an example of that quick feedback loop. Like, how are you talking about, like weeks, days, like, or because Graham would have to be part of that, I would imagine, being the lead developer, right?
We work in the span of days. So normally we would sometimes before even hitting the code, sometimes we'll just jump onto a rapid prototyping tool like Figma and build like a fully interactive system or
Yeah.
idea out, put that into the hands of the customers, just have a play around with, just to see if it feels right for them and they think it's going to be useful for the business. And if we get good feedback, we get heaps of good feedback from that. They'll say, oh yeah, that doesn't really work, or whatnot. And we iterate that because that's quick. Because so my UX engineer, he can build a rapid prototype in hours, and then he'll give it to me. I get into a Teams meeting with my customers and just go through it. So once we've sort of laid out the initial wireframing and got that right, it then gets into the actual development. So rapid prototyping, and now we're like falling in love with like AI development. So like my guys, my engineers, they have 20, like Graham's 25 plus years developer, and Avi, my other developers 10 plus years. So they know development inside out. But now they use AI, where it really, I reckon, has 20x our productivity on some
Mhm.
cases. So we can get a rapid prototype out, which used to take 2 weeks, into like a day now. And we're currently doing that right now. I've got a meeting with the customer tomorrow to show them something they asked about a week ago, and we've just sort of built it in a day. And I've told Chris, the customer, hey, can I show you what we've just built? I think this is what you were asking for. And he's like, whoa, Roly, what? You've already
Mhm.
done it? And I'm like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so it's just really built this. It's just in addition to getting the feedback for us to build product, it's fed this. It's a reciprocal benefit back to the customer, because now the customer's like, wow, this Busable guys, they are just on the ball. They are flying. They're fast. They listen to me, and they can deliver.
Yeah.
And for them, they'll be like, well, why would we go with any other company when these guys can deliver exactly what we say we need? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So
Amazing.
how does that go with the discipline of, when Graham before said, hey, you got 10 ideas, Roly, I'm only going to build a couple, right, until you can show that it's revenue generating. How does that, the ease of being able to build something so fast, how do you stay disciplined on that and not go, hey, we can do it in one a day now, let's build 10 in 10 opposed to 1 in 10? How do you stay disciplined on that? Or are you, was there a bit more flexibility?
that's a really good question, because that's the problem that I'm struggling with right now, because that fire hose has just been turned full notch on my end, going, oh man, I've got all these ideas. Let's get them out there because we can build them so fast. But the
Yeah.
problem that we're seeing that we have right now is, okay, fine, you can get all these products out there, right? But you got to remember that you're a SaaS company, so software as a service. So there's two parts of that. You got the software, which is the product and all the ideas that you want to get out there, and the service. So the service is also very important in our business. So we've done this before, and we're trying to really nail it down, tone it down a bit, where we don't try to put as many products out there as possible, because we just can't service it well enough. There's just too many bugs and issues that come in from all different contexts of our business, and puts a massive pressure on me on support and my team on support. So it distracts us more than anything. So when we send products out to the market, we now basically look at the product, where does it fit within our support model, and can the team support it? Because if it's a brand new product, let's say something that we've never done before, we got to realize that, okay, we're going to have to spend more time on support on this and get the team skilled up to support it. So all that decision making around the support model comes into play to help me figure out what we need to deploy to the customers for them to use. So that's one. And then the second one's the revenue. We do this, we call it like, have you heard of WISCHIF? So weighted shortest job first. It's a prioritization method that we use in agile delivery, where you look at the product that you need to build, how much effort and complexity does it take versus the business benefit that you'll get. And our business benefit could be either a brand uplift or revenue uplift. So if those two are fairly high, but the work to do that's fairly low, then yeah, they get prioritized into the into our backlog to be developed and shipped out to customers. And a lot of the ones where the development effort is low is because, we've got these new products that can generate revenue, but they leverage off existing infrastructure and technology that we've already built. So a lot of those sort of product add-ons get out into the market also before some of the bigger, chunkier stuff. That's like new field, green field for us.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at the WISCHIF info. Well, I might send you a link. Mitch, to put it in the notes. So, How does that sit with you? I know how I think in a sales mentality here, Mitch, but what do you think as a developer on this side, like hearing this stuff?
It's really cool to hear how you go about it. Can I ask, how big is the team? You mentioned you've got a few different people there. How large is even the dev team?
The dev team is just myself, Graham, a UX engineer, another senior full stack engineer, and a QA engineer. So what's that? Five of us.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, good on you, because that's not cheap. So you must be doing something right.
Not cheap.
So that's it is really interesting to hear how you're going about prioritizing different features, functionality, ideas, because totally we're still, in our infancy. We've got a lot of stuff yet to build, right? Gavin and I have tons of ideas. So maybe implementing something like this could really help us figure out, okay, what's the right next step? Might be a little harder because we're still, like we've kind of talked about on some of our earlier episodes, like the cycle to get a sale basically can be like up to 12 months, right? For events, we've got to be at the right time and for that event organizer and stuff. So it's a bit of a cycle that we've got to factor around to then be able to prove out, like, okay, this is going to generate revenue for us. It could be a little trickier because it's not an instant thing.
Just on that, Mitch, we got our first verbal confirmation of first revenue this week too, by the way.
Hey, yes.
Yeah. Our first
Congrats.
Thanks. It's not a big one, but it's the data that we'll get from it is amazing. So
that's it.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's interesting how you're bringing the whole team together on and everyone's aligning to this, Roly. Like we're thinking about with us, we've got some things that stick in my mind with us is, at the moment, we're sales team-led growth, and that's very difficult to scale. I think the problem we need to figure out how to solve is how to make this a little bit product-led growth, but be able to replicate itself in other areas, whether it's a freemium version or something, so we can actually start trying to scale beyond like an automated, somewhat sales process. And eventually, I think that you might get there. Though with regional bus operators, I think partnerships is really important for you, which you're investigating now, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we've got global partners who are, been in the industry for 10 plus years. And I think they seem to like what we really do. And the gap that we provide, like we solve some of the issues, the gaps that they have. So we're working closely with a few partners right now. So to answer your question, your point there, or really reinforce that point, Gav, is yeah, we are looking at other besides just hardcore sales and cold emails and cold calling and all that stuff. We're looking for strategic partnerships and strategic platforming. So, as an example of a strategic platform, so we'll work with suppliers out there and bring them onto our marketplace and really build this ecosystem where ultimately for Busable, we want to be like this, if you can imagine, almost like this operating system, like Windows or Mac OS or whatever, where it's this operating system, but you can plug in all these different apps to achieve all the amazing magical outcomes as a end user, create videos, create podcasts or whatever. So we want to do the same thing in the transportation industry where we build this what I like to call the fabric of transportation. This platform, bring on all the experts in the transportation industry out there, all their ideas and technologies, and plug it into our platform. And hopefully, we're years and years away, but by the way, getting to this point, but that's the vision. If we can do that and build this ecosystem, then I think it just sells itself, because you've got all these advocates out there. It's like, if you use Atlassian or Salesforce and all that, and they have their own little ecosystem, it's just a self-perpetuating engine of bringing in customers.
Yeah, you see those other businesses that can connect with this system you're talking about or whatever, all these different apps, everything talking together, and that's like a really compelling offer, right?
It's a hard job to build, that's for sure. But it's our vision is, I don't know if I spoke too much about Busable, but my personal vision is to try and make anywhere busable for anyone. So coming into Australia as a family of refugees, being able to get to your place of work, to your place of study, to go buy your groceries without a car is impossible. So we relied heavily on the transportation system, i.e. the buses, because we lived in southwest Sydney and there's no trains. So the buses were key. It was sort of like our lifeline to, build a family and a living here in Australia. And, that's never going to change anywhere around the world. So there's always going to be the people that rely on these systems. And that's our job here in Busable, is to make that system as efficient, as equitable as possible, and as accessible as possible, and as safe as possible. So that's our sort of true vision there. And my whole team's sort of bought in on that vision after I've told them my story. And that's really it fuels the business and the team to really push as hard as we can to get to that end state vision.
Yeah, okay. Your parents must be proud, mate.
Oh, I think so. They don't say it, but I like to think so. My dad's hardcore. He's the military type man, so he's never cried for anyone except for two people: Grandma, because Grandma loved Dad, and Bob Hawke. When Bob Hawke passed away, Dad was in tears because he was the sitting prime minister at the time that allowed the refugees in.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So when it comes to this, because this is a massive vision, right? Your mission is huge. How do you choose what strategic clients to take their advice on, right? Because as time goes on, you're going to get more and more clients. You can't have everyone on your strategic advisory council.
Correct.
What's your thought process around that, and what have you learned?
Well, I found what I've learned, it's actually quite easy to identify these strategic customers or advocates. And it's really it comes down to one thing: passion. So, I go talk to them. I sort of hopefully try to get my passion about transportation and my backstory out to as many people as possible, because what I want to do is see who resonates with that, because they're going to be the driving force to push what we believe is disruptive technology. They are going to help disrupt. So from the business side. So when I talk to a lot of these customers, we've got a few who basically go, wow, I love your story. It's amazing. But in addition to that, they've been working in the transportation industry for 40 years, ever since they were 19. They're like, I don't know, 60 now or something. So you can see the passion's there. And when you prove to these customers that you can deliver on some of the ideas that they have, they go, "Oh, holy moly's, man! I feel like, as a customer, I feel like I've got this missing arm that I've never knew I needed, which is this technology arm, this technology powerhouse that can just help deliver some of their visions."
Yeah.
So we've got a few of those customers as advocates. Like, we've got dozens of customers, but I can only, I suppose, based on those criteria I mentioned, there's only about three, I would say, that fit into my category of disruptive thinkers who are just passionate about what they do and they are aligned with my vision for
Yeah.
what Busable's trying to achieve.
Sure.
And it comes with, I guess, a lot of gut feel too. So it's all the soft skills, not anything else besides just being on the ground with them. And it's almost like, how, you're courting for a wife, I suppose, just seeing if the values are there that aligns with your values and going with the gut feel at the end. It's probably
Yeah.
the best way I can put it.
So it's like trust is a cornerstone of that, and that would take time to build right on both sides, right? So
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, these have been 2 years, 3 years in the making. So, and I hit up these customers, these advocates, almost, not daily, but every 3 or 4 days. That's how
Wow.
closely aligned we are with, getting customer advocacy feedback.
Yeah, wow, that's more often than I would have thought. Do you ever get the sense that they're like, oh, okay, if Roly's back again, he's got, there's another idea or anything? Or are they always like open to wanting to chat with you about this stuff?
Well, that's a good question because going up and just asking them for their time to, what's the word, ask for feedback, it's a bit intrusive because they're very busy themselves. So what I do is it's become habitual now, and I tell my entire team this. Obviously, they would call us up first for a support issue or a bug or something or help in training, right? But we always use that opportunity. Now that we've got their time on the phone or something, we always use that opportunity to end the call with a feedback session. So that's why I'm saying they call every 2 or 3 days, and we always end up with oh, sorry, Jeff. So we just released this feature for you. What do you think? Is it working? And are you using it? And tell us how we can improve on it. So 2 or 3 minutes after each one of these support calls goes a long way.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes total sense, yeah. Yeah,
we
cool.
we've transitioned mostly online now, and you work from your house seemingly. How important is it getting in front of these people face to face to build these relationships and to build trust?
Well, for me, it's a superpower. It's a competitive advantage, and the customers tell us. They go, we work with other companies, but we rarely hear from them, and they're not on the ground with us. And the reason why they stick with Busable is because myself, I, for one, love traveling. I love driving. That's where I find my peace, and I'm sort of meditative state, just doing these long drives down to Whoop Whoop. So one, I enjoy doing it, but then, yeah, two, the customers really appreciate that. Just you making the time to come out and see them and go on the journey with them, and actually see how they operate, because there's a lot of things that you won't be able to pick up virtually on a meeting. You have to go spend 2 or 3 hours seeing them use the system or seeing them operate their business to actually pick deep insights and go, oh, this customer haven't thought about a potential automation piece here. I reckon with my technology, mindset, I can automate this problem that they have that they didn't even know they had a problem in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just being able to see all that. So it's essentially getting like front row seats to the operations and businesses that they run, which is a competitive advantage to other companies that don't do that.
Yeah, for sure.
That
When I was
that
at
you go, Gav, you go.
when I was at this startup years ago, 2015, it was an engineering drawing management platform, and it was buggy, right? Because it was a startup and it was solving an enterprise problem. Our competitive advantage was meeting face to face because Autodesk wasn't necessarily doing it, and filling up that cup of trust, or gave us give us the ability to fix bugs and issues like that. And I think that's all part of the service, right? You can't really, of software as a service, you can't really say, hey, we're innovative, we only do this, but only offer online. I think, yeah, really getting in front of as many people, at least in the beginning, is really important.
Yeah, I mean, like we're really scrappy. Like this doesn't scale, obviously. But it, like you said, Gab, it builds that trust, and to the point where it's gone beyond just a customer or client, relationship now. Like I've gone up to Tamworth with family, Emily and parents and stuff. And we'll go have a barbecue with our customers. They invite us to their home. My little daughter will play with, their grandkids, and it almost becomes like this, I don't know, family event now. So,
Mm.
they appreciate that. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's definitely one of those things where, it feels like we've got the customer for life, like they're not going to churn, they're not going to move away. And these are big customers that we have.
Yeah, yeah. So you do that, Mitch. You've got some good, strong relationships in your other businesses, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've been working with one client in particular, I think, for about 9 years now. And it's kind of funny because it started around the same time as my relationship with my now fiance. So I can kind of use that as a bit of a metric of like, okay, started dating Nicole and then started working with this client, and that's how I keep the two in track. Yeah, it's really important. What I was going to say before was being able to observe, like as a developer and thinking about automation and improving like business procedures, which sounds really nerdy and not fun, but it's very interesting, and I guess drives a huge amount of value to a business if you can automate away this manual process that they're doing, and it's something that takes them 2 days each week or whatever, and you can turn that into a button that downloads a report or whatever. Like being able to see that stuff with your technology mindset, as you said, see where some of those inefficient processes are happening, and then being able to present that to the customer and say, hey, that problem that you're having that maybe you didn't even really know about, like I've got a solution for it, and here you go. So
And
that's really cool to see that to hear that you're doing that sometimes in person while going and shaking hands with these customers and resolving problems for them. That's awesome.
and the thing with that, Mitch, is also like I have this litmus test that when I sort of identify these inefficiencies and you build something to solve that problem, like via a click of a button or something. Sometimes I don't tell them about it because what I want to do is I want to maximize. Gavin calls it the oh shit moments. I call them the magical moments. So
Holy magic moment.
so we just go back and say, hey, hey Jeff, look, we've just built this. I think this will help you. He'll play with it or look at it, and you'll see their eyes just go, oh my God. So those experiences that they have in their business working with Busable, I think it becomes deeply ingrained in their emotional state. They just feel like there's magic happening with Busable and we don't need anyone else. So we've had competitors try to approach our current customers to try and, turn them over to their business instead, the competitor. And, they just flat outright say to the competitor, look, we're working with Roly already from Busable. We've got no interest. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
So it gives you that competitive advantage. We do this a lot with the big players, the big customers we have.
Yeah. I think it's sales and winning clients is people think once they win them a lot, that's it, they've won, and they don't often maintain that relationship. And if you're not courting someone or maintaining that relationship, someone else will, and eventually that value equation will turn, and then it opens up an opportunity for someone. And it's a defensive strategy, but it's an offensive strategy. It does so many things, and it's very hard to. You can't defend it. You can't fight against it. And I think at the end of the day, we're in a competitive market, and it's often with our competitors a zero-sum game. If they don't, they'll either win or not, or will win. So yeah, it's really interesting. Another thing that sparked my thinking in this conversation is using AI for certain parts to enable Graham and the team there, Roly, it makes me wonder if you can build a multi-million dollar business with less than 15 people, right? By using automation and things like this, right? Agents now, because I remember at Red Eye, we had the founding team of Red Eye, like the first 20, I think I was like, I might have been 10 or something. A lot of them were developers, but we had a really strong core team. And then they put a layer in, and then that started to, the culture got affected. And then you found that the core team who were there for each other started leaving because it just got diluted and didn't work as much. And I guess that's a natural transition of a business, but I wonder if using stuff like that can help maintain a core team. For us, Mitch, we go, well, how do we build this business so we don't need any more than 10 people, right?
Yeah, a smaller team, keep the same
culture,
vibe,
right?
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
interesting.
good you raised that, Gav, because that's actually one of our strategic aims is to make sure that our team, we don't bloat it, because like I've worked in big corporates and governments before, and I've noticed when you get beyond 8 people, and Jeff Bezos says make sure your teams, you can feed them with 2 pizzas, right? So because as you grow beyond 8 in a team, it becomes just insanely hard to communicate. There's just too many lines of communication now, and you get more miscommunications and just more problems in general. So what I like to see, like as we grow, like I like to think we're building like these very specialized, very almost like hardcore Navy SEAL teams, right? Like of 6 to 8 people. You give them a mission and they just pound away at it and really smash it out of the ballpark. And using AI is become insanely powerful because we thought that we probably need about 10 people to deliver everything we need, but right now we're on like 5, and I reckon easily we can do that with some of these new technologies coming out. So for example, just yesterday, I was in one of my daily stand-ups with the team, and we are going through one of these features, right? Building this operational dashboard for our customers. And I gave one of my developers just some feedback on the call. He's like, oh, it would be great if we can actually get the 2 maps showing and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay. So literally 3 minutes later, he did some stuff in AI and he goes, hey, Roly, is this what you wanted? And he showed me on the screen and I'm like, holy F, did you just do that with AI? And he goes, yeah, it took me like 2 minutes. So in terms of just that speed and now the speed of rapid prototyping and getting stuff out to customers that actually work and you can actually get quantitative and qualitative data back,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's just insane. It's almost like a secret power that I don't want to mention in podcasts only because I don't want competitors that I deal with knowing about what we're doing. But yeah, look, I'm happy. Send it away.
It's kind of like human assisted AI, not human replacing AI, right? Because that he still put his frame and his thoughts over it and disseminated, I think that's the right word, what you said, and said, okay, now I know. And yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think that's something that we should consider, Mitch, is like, how do we build this to, I think having a small group and a core group of people is a massive culture advantage and a massive, there's so many advantages to it, as long as you don't sacrifice on the service or something on the other side, right? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. We do already use some AI tools. Maybe we can talk offline, Roly, about what your team are using. But yeah, certainly on like the development side of things, we are using some AI tools, but I don't feel like it's not a core part of like my workflow in particular. I guess it's like, okay, if hey, I'm having, ChatGPT or whatever, or any of these other tools, developer specific tools. It's like, hey, I'm having trouble with this thing, or can you write me a function write me some code that's going to do this, and whatever. I do that every now and then, maybe like once a day or once every 2 days or so. I'm getting like some development help with something, but in general, it's not a core part of what I'm doing yet. So I'd be interested to hear if we chat offline, because you don't want to give away too much of the secret sauce. But yeah, interested to hear a bit more about what more we could be doing, and maybe I can take some of those learnings, and if we look to move forward with any of that, I can talk about some of that in later episodes, Gav.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd love to learn as well. So, yeah, okay. Well, we've been going for nearly an hour already. What wins have you had? Maybe let's talk about the wins that we've had. Roly, what wins have you had in your business this week? Some key.
Well, yeah. So we've had some of our biggest customers come back to us with more features, requests, and all that kind of stuff, saying that, like I said, like this ability. So they came to us again with a problem. They weren't happy with another supplier they were using. They were just overpriced, and they approached us and said, "Hey, Roly, can you sort of figure out how we can build this platform that they needed quickly, because the contract with the current customer ends at the end of March." And again, with the help of some AI, and my teams who are augmented, my engineers are augmented with AI, looked at the current platform that they had, assessed it using AI, and then quickly prototype something with AI. We went back to them and said, "Hey, look, here's something we've done. Is this suiting your need?" And again, they were like, "Holy shamolis, did you just do that in like less than a week? This normally takes us months." And I'm like, "Yeah." So anyway, so we've managed now to win a business via an existing customer, by funneling revenue from a competitor to us. So that's just a simple win.
Amazing.
And then we've had, yeah, thank you. It's things like that we're seeing using some of this technology. It's just insane, just to create that magic moment to the customer, to really give them the confidence that they're making the right move. I mean, they're already using Busable for other things, but this is a totally different component or module of the business that we have, that we're just starting out, that they've just started to learn that we're doing. So now they're like, "Yeah, Roly, we just want to bring everything onto your platform now. You've proven to us you guys can deliver pretty quickly. So and at a much, when you deliver quickly, you can deliver more cheaply. There's less man hours involved. So double win there for the customer." And then we've just had other wins, like one of our sales guys. He's been doing a few cold callings, and just got a few more demos booked to Gav. So we've got one next Thursday with a fairly large bus operator.
Yeah, it's good.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. So are you, don't have to answer this if you don't want, mate. Are you cash flow positive or net neutral? Where are you close to that?
Yeah, we're net negative because every time we make more money, we hire more people. But I think that should be changing soon, because I don't think we need more people. So I reckon give 6 months, we'll be neutral to positive. But yeah, all the money we make just gets reinvested back into the business, because we're in it for the long game.
Yeah, yeah, mate. Thanks. That was interesting to. Yeah, it's coming up with. I think something to maybe think about is plotting the journey of once they sign as a client, and everyone goes through a valley of despair, right? When do they turn into delighted customers? When do you start talking about other products, and if it's a land and expand opportunity, and that getting that account growth will be key for you guys, right? Because it's the long tail revenue, which is already happening, right? So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but yeah, it's still a massive learning experience. Like, I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
you're faking it well enough.
You're doing something right, mate. I can tell you now. So keep it up.
I've got massive imposter syndrome. So, funny story. I get these nightmares, recurring nightmares every 6 months, I reckon, where I'm back at university. Oh, sorry, I get a call from the university saying I haven't actually graduated. I need to finish a mathematics course, an exam. I pick up the textbook, flick through it, and go, "Holy crap, this is all gibberish. What is this?" So anyway, I did some research on this recurring nightmare, and I reckon, a lot of psychologists think that it's an imposter syndrome symptom.
Yeah. Well, I honestly think the secret to all this stuff is everyone feels the same, right? I don't know if anyone, and if they say they're not, they're lying. And that's the different. People just start regardless of that, and make their way. And when you start doing it, you realize that people don't know what they're doing a lot of the time, and they don't have a plan. You clearly have a plan. You have a plan with customer advocacy. You have a plan with building the business. And it ties heavily into your mission, which seemingly your values come from your mum and dad of the turmoil they went through. And that's what a great story to turn something so negative into something so positive, and that will emanate generations after them. So yeah, that's amazing.
Well, I hope this podcast becomes my legacy because that's a key message there, right there, Gav. So
Yeah. Matt, I would honestly love to have you back on every couple of months or something, just to get an update and see what the journey is, and see that grey hair in your beard just move a little further up your head.
lose all my hair like Mitch.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, then we can just we'll have to get Gav in a couple of years' time, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
We,
It could all be
we,
cool.
we used that story last night to get my daughter to eat veggies. That's what happens when you don't, and that was Mitch lost his hair. So,
But yeah,
Mitch,
Gav, love to come on again. Yeah, love it.
and anytime you're up in Brisbane, mate, we've got a place here to come and visit. Same with you, Mitch, of course.
Yeah.
Mitch, what wins have we had this week, or what wins have you had this week?
Well, it was a big deal. We won't say exactly what it was yet, but yeah, getting that verbal yes for an event that's happening later this year. That was a big win in the business. So that's been really exciting. It was great meeting your whole family last night, Gav. That was awesome. That was a big win, and yeah, just helping this business feel more real, feel like a long term. I'm going to be seeing a lot of you and a lot of your family, and yeah, that was great. What else? We had a really productive meeting yesterday with someone who will hopefully provide us an intro to an event that we're looking at for later this year, which will be potentially a really big opportunity. And the meeting went really well. So this, we kind of mentioned, I think, right at the start of this recording, but we worked a little on this overview doc that we've got. And this person that we spoke with yesterday was kind of we met them maybe a month or so ago, and we kind of went to them with something that was very text heavy, just like a list of features, and they kind of rightfully pushed back and were like, guys, this isn't it. You got to come up with something, that's got a bit more interest in it. And we did, and the feedback that we got was great. So that gave me some confidence. We spent a lot of time getting that right, and to get that instant feedback of, guys, this is awesome, well done, that felt really good. So that's a huge win in the business.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. All right. Anything? I think that's probably a good place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Really, thanks, Roly, for sharing how your the customer advocacy and how important it is to building Busable. And I've got a chance to look under the hood, and where you're chasing some really massive global opportunities at the moment that is too soon to talk about here. But it would, one in particular that it will change your business completely and change your world. And it's too soon to say. We don't want to jinx it. But yeah, would love to have you back. And Mitch, fantastic to talk to you as always. And if anyone has any topics or anything that they want us to cover, all of our three listeners at the moment,
more than that,
let us know. Let us know in the comments of whatever you're listening to, and we'll make sure we address it. But yeah.
Yep. We've got that. We've got an email address that's in the show notes, so you can email Gav and I. Roly, before we go, is there any links you'd like to send people to your LinkedIn or Twitter or to Busable's website? We'll put all of that in the notes. But is there anything that you want to shout out now before we wrap up?
Yeah, look, the best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active on there. And look, happy just to chat to other founders out there. And, it would be really good. Like, I think what you guys are doing is great, because I hope it builds this sort of support group for founders, in particular in Australia, because I guess overseas, like Silicon Valley, there's massive industries around startups there. But in Australia, it's a bit more subdued. There's, fish burners and all them. But I think, for me personally, just connecting to a few founders who are going through the same journey would be amazing. So like yourself, Mitch, and Gav, you guys are going through the journey, and it feels like I'm going on this journey together with you guys now. So, throwing ideas and wins and losses at each other, just sharing that is just really relieving. It's the power of just communicating either a win or a loss or a problem is just like almost therapeutic, like for your mental health. And it's just amazing to have that. So the first 2 years, it was just myself and Graham. So, there's only so much we can throw at each other before we sort of create permanent head damage to each other because we're just complaining a lot now.
Maybe we can create, maybe not now, well, maybe we can do it now is, well, fuck it, let's do it now. So maybe do once a month, we can do like a Friday afternoon whiskey or beer thing online for an hour, and we can just share with other founders if people want to join their lessons and stuff like that. Well, maybe we can build a group like that, and we can, something like that for an hour or so.
That could be fun because having a sense of community. I'm totally with you on I listen to a lot of other podcasts where it's this same type of thing of follow along with the journey, of hearing what are other people doing and trying to be as transparent as they can. That's what we're trying to do without, giving absolutely everything away and putting yourself in a bad position, right? To be able to have that with other people in a group would be amazing, that we can talk to and not just listen to other people's podcasts.
So, Mitch, can we put a wait list on or something, like a spreadsheet that people can register their interest or fill it out, and then we will we can put them on a calendar invite or something on maybe a month from now. We can go something from now. I don't know. Is that would you be part of that role? Will you be our first honorary member?
100%. I'll do I'll take the first virtual shout of whiskies too. But there you go.
You can do it in your library, right? You can give us a tour.
Yeah, that's right.
Get a fireplace going or something.
Stories with Roly. Magic moments. Yeah, we'll call it magic moments. Yeah. All right. We'll call it magic moments. Yeah. In honor of you. All right. Awesome. Well, I just put that on everyone without even consulting, so hopefully that's okay. Yeah.
That's all right. We'll make it work. Excellent. Roly, it was great to meet you, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And absolutely, like Gav said, love to have you on as a recurring character on the show, and we can help follow your journey as well as you follow ours. So,
well, thank you so
again.
much.
It's great to meet you.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you next time.
See you, mate.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
See you.